just really curious what you thought was gonna happen.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about TikTok being banned. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Who knows anymore? I am operating as if it's going away at the end of the 75-day extension that the current president decided to give it, because there's been one thing TikTok has been clear about, that they had no plans to sell, that they would not be selling. Maybe that was all BS this whole time, and the CEO has just been in Trump's pocket this whole time. Who knows? I am operating as if it's going away at the end of the 75 days, okay? But we knew that January 19th was the initial date of the ban, okay? And so people were prepping for January 19th to be the last day of TikTok. However, there was a lot of misinformation around what was going to happen with TikTok in the US around that time. If the ban had gone through as it was supposed to, which technically it did, on January 19th, then the apps would be removed from the App Store. And that included, CapCut, Lemonade, TikTok, and a host of other things. However, it would remain on your phone and you would be able to use the app accordingly. TikTok then said, no. Not only will we not allow that, we will make the app go dark for American users, okay? And that is exactly what they ended up doing on the 18th. They decided, and for a whopping 12 hours, the app was not usable in the US, okay? Or anywhere outside of the US. I believe what happened for some people was if they had a US phone provider or they had made their account in the US, it didn't matter if they no longer had a US IP or anything like that. Their account was also locked. So I had a few friends in the UK. I heard of people in Australia and Canada also being affected by the ban. So that happened for a couple of people. There were things that happened. I'm of the opinion it was all this poorly executed, publicity stunt. I still think you should have waited till he was in office to then do your whole rigmarole of Trump saved it because 2 full days-ish of the withdrawals that would have gone into effect. There wasn't even an announcement that TikTok was back. When it was back, people were still reflexively tapping the app and then realized the app was working. That's how people figured it out. And then an announcement was made. If you had just waited for the withdrawals to set in from the constant swiping, because people are addicted to the app, the constant swiping, you would have had way better of a return, but whatever. But in the week prior to the ban, when the ban was looking like it was definitely going to happen and the Supreme Court unanimously decided to uphold the ban and said it believed it was constitutional or whatever, and that it didn't violate freedom of speech, which, all right, people started using an audio as a trend on TikTok to share some secrets. It was a audio from Family Guy, I believe, and it was, since we're all gonna die, there's one more thing I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for The Godfather. It's the audio. I'm saying it to you because I don't want to deal with the copyright claim. Not in the mood. We're also gonna silence a lot of these videos because I don't want to hear this audio again and again and again. That's the problem with trending audios, is you just think again and again and again. I took this as, let me admit something that I've never admitted before, like a spicy take. And that's how I saw it starting to be used, where people would share a spicy take. Mine probably would be TikTok has a habit of assigning malice when stupidity is the answer for people's behavior on the apps. That probably would have been mine. It wouldn't be I've never actually been to an event, because that's stupid. And also false, okay? But some people decided to do it differently and started sharing secrets about their content on TikTok. But before we get into some lies and some reveals, let's talk about a real factual truth, and that is that everyone deserves good pleasure on Valentine's Day and year-round. And that is where our sponsor, Lilo, is here to help. It's February, which means Valentine's Day, and whether you think this is a greeting card holiday or not, it doesn't change the fact that there is couples and love and everything all over the place, all right? And you, whether you are single or in a relationship, deserve good things like fantastic finishes. And Lilo is here to help with up to 50% off their most coveted pleasure items. Whether you're solo, you have a partner, or 6, you can make this romantic holiday truly one to remember. Lilo is always taking care of me, and so they sent me the Sona 2 Cruise, a sonic clitoral massager for bigger, longer, and better finishes. Maybe you do have a partner this Valentine's Day, but they just can't be there with you. no fear, because the Sona 2 cruise actually connects to the Lilo app. Use the toy together, regardless of the distance between you. They call it the Love Bridge, and you can pass control of your Sona 2 cruise over to your partner. Fully waterproof, easy to clean, and it has 12 pleasure settings. This thing is amazing. Who needs flowers and chocolate when you can experience pleasure? Like I said, the site is up to 50% off, but you also get an additional 15% off your purchase with code Amanda15. Thank you to Lilo for sponsoring this video. Some of which, I should note, are very tame and harmless and not a problem, okay? Some are very understandable. Meredith, as in Wishbone Kitchen, shared, she didn't even use the auto. She was like, mention it all, like, since we're exposing things.
My ex broke up with me 2 weeks before he was supposed to move into that apartment with me, which is why I moved so suddenly. And also it happened like almost 6 months ago.
And then there was like a brand deal that they had done together that she admitted that they had been broken up for like a little bit before that, but because they had already contractually agreed to doing this brand deal, they decided to do it anyway. And they like just like didn't address their breakup and things like that. That's one thing. I think that's fine, okay? There's been a couple of instances like that of like, we were actually never dating, we were dating, lots of things like that.
Since we're all gonna die, there's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for The Godfather.
No big deal. One fun one is this one creator who would regularly say that she had indoor cats when they were very clearly chickens.
这是我的猫。它穿蓝色牛仔裤，苹果的牛仔裤。
And then she was like, I don't have cats. I have indoor chickens. I've always known they weren't cats. Like, that's silly. That's fun. I'm fine with that. Some were ones that we knew, like Haley Bailey admitting that William, her fictitious William, was not real and that she never dated a billionaire. We knew that. Simply admitting something that's like, one, a joke that was always clearly public, or something as simple as like a relationship or like little things like that. Like, that's not harmful. Some of them, are, not necessarily harmful, but just blatantly lying. I believe one of the girls that does like, look how much I eat in a day. And she admitted she doesn't eat all of that in one day.
But not Baby Dumpling admitting that she like doesn't eat all the food in her mukbangs, when like the whole thing for like the last couple of years has been like, how does she eat all that food? Like, she gave up her lore.
Which I had always assumed that she just did like a one bite of everything and was done, and that she wasn't actually consuming like 3,000 calories in a day. Meredith Duxbury, she's a beauty creator, okay, and she had this thing that she would do where she would use like 5 pumps of foundation on her face at the start of every one of her beauty videos, okay? Like, massive overuse of product. And she admitted, I would wipe off those 5 pumps every time, which people, I assume, knew, because everyone was just like, there's no way that she's using that much product, right? In those instances, okay, which like the food one, I knew that. Who knows if her audience knew that, okay? I just never consumed that content. Meredith, I was like, her face doesn't look that cakey. There's no way that she's using that much product, or she's rubbing it into the point that it's like her skin is just like absorbing it like a blending sponge at this point. Who knows? I figured she probably wiped it off. But again, there are people who were like, she, in some instances, framed this like this is what she did every single time. And so when people are complimenting your makeup, you don't think some people tried that much product, wasted that much product? You don't think that may have had some ripple effects at all? I've heard a lot about the influencers for the fitness influencers side of things. I have not been shown any of the video, nor have I been able to find them. I will continue to look. Some of these, I assume, got deleted because the app came back. Which, side note, this has always been so weird to me, because the app, the content was never going to be deleted. And that was like one of the complaints that a lot of Americans had. It's like, you're not going to private our accounts. You're not going to lock our accounts. You're not protecting our accounts. I think I talk about that later in this video. But like, for these creators in particular, the content was always going to exist seemingly on these platforms, like, so why admit this as if the app was going to nuke itself? Your account wasn't going to nuke itself. I don't know what you thought this was stupid. Okay, bye. And so some people admitted that they didn't do the workouts that they posted about.
Also, this TikToker admitting that she like doesn't do all the workouts that she posts. Everyone is talking about this. They're like, what do you mean you're not doing the workouts that you're posting in your video? She did post a video like clarifying she does do the workouts, just like not when she's like making content, I guess. Everyone feels bamboozled.
They had gotten a BBL, which some of those instances, again, We got to use our discernment and like learn the signs of things and figure that out. I don't take the supplements that I claim to take that I recommend taking. I eat X, Y, and Z, things like that. When I say that I don't. The fitness ones I get more bothered by because like people are looking to you for inspiration and in some instances guidance, because the reality of it is that following an influencer, a fitness influencer or a fitness creator is way cheaper than getting a personal trainer, buying a membership, et cetera, and doing workouts at home. So there's quite a lot of people that probably were like, oh, I'm going to do this to try and get, look like them, and that just didn't work out. And now you just kind of admit that like you were lying, you didn't actually do those workouts. So like, do those workouts work? Was that even the proper frequency to be doing that? That's the problem with a lot. I have a few friends that are like actually personal trainers, and like I have heard them complain about some of the fitness influencers in the space because a lot of them are not accredited in any way, shape, or form. This doesn't help the space at all because everyone's going to assume everyone is lying all the time now. My Life is Eva shared that she was a sub in a relationship while she was the peak of her YouTube fame. I don't think that's harmful. I'm just like, interesting. Like some of these I'm like, this isn't actively bad. I'm just like, interesting that you chose now to share that, especially for TikTok. Like she still is like her YouTube channel up. A lot of these people too, like the concept of just doing these admitting things about your content at this scale for the what last minute TikTok clout, okay? Some people definitely lied. Some people admitted things that were not true whatsoever as a means of getting clout and attention because they thought that TikTok was going to come back. Quite a few TikTokers that I spoke to were talking to other people or people higher up at TikTok that believed that it was going to be a temporary ban or that it was going to come back or that there was someone going to buy it, okay? So a lot of people that are at the size that were admitting things, I'm like, I think someone told you or your team that TikTok was temporary, going away and then therefore going to come back. And so you were like, let's get some attention on the account while it's gone and then it comes back, which, everything you got to take with a grain of salt. But then there was another one as well where there was these hyper consumption trends. Okay. There's a lot of like consumerism happening on TikTok. We've talked about this before. There's, water talk, Stanley talk. People love hauls and get ready with me for my hot girl walk. And it's like a cup that has like a bajillion and one things attached to it that you can all buy from the linked Amazon storefront.
I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like? I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
One of these creators has ice restocking videos, okay? And I believe gets affiliates from Amazon for like all of the different ice trays that she uses. And she admitted in her I don't care for The Godfather post that she never ate the fancy ice that she would make for videos, and she would do like these whole ice restocking videos and things like that.
I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
And she would put fruit in them and flowers in them and all this other stuff in them, and people were like, wait, what was happening to the ice? Which in one instance, the water will melt. It's ice. Like, I don't like it. I don't like that you're selling something as if you're using it for like your content or anything like that, or like in your day-to-day life. And it wasn't. It sounds like other people in her house were eating it. Guests were coming over and using them and drinks and things like that. Other creators that do fancy ice now were like, I always use my fancy ice. Why are you accusing me of not using my fancy ice? This is, again, not helping the distrust of influencers and things like that, which, again, I think is fine because I do want people to be, more critical of the content they're consuming. In response to the TikTok ban and everyone feeling kind of icky about it, like the up and down and the way it came back, people don't feel good about it for the most part. And if you come into my comment section saying, Trump saved TikTok, I'm going to call you a troglodyte. One of my things this year is just telling people, are you stupid? Like that's one of my resolutions this year. Hank Green made a video about reclaiming your own attention because a lot of people were like, the TikTok FYP feels different now. And I agree, mine feels different. The content I'm being shown is different. The comments, the likes, all of it, everything feels different. Not even so much like, oh, I'm not getting the attention I used to get. I don't care about that. I mean, like just as a user on the app feels weird, especially with that in the back of my mind, it feels icky. So I've just been off the app. I have not been consuming TikTok or posting much as I normally would have prior to all this happening. People were like, again, like, where do we go now? What's this? And Hank Green is like, no. Reclaim your attention. Don't be like, which platform are we going next because your attention is valuable. Be done with giving them attention.
You know what the last few days have me thinking pretty clearly? Take back your attention. Stop giving it away. Be intentional with what gets put into your brain. This idea that the TikTok algorithm is somehow something you curate, no, it is curating you. The word oligarchy comes from the word power and the word few. It is power held by few. And we can argue over whether or not that's already happened in America, but we cannot argue whether or not that's happened in our information ecosystem. And what we consume, what we put into our brains is what we become. Donald Trump signals to the world that he is going to punish people who run large businesses if they don't get in line. And what do? They get in line. They agree to play that game. They have all agreed to play that game. They were all there. The attention oligarchy is here. It's been here, obviously. But the brazenness with which the current party in charge of the government in the US is saying out loud that they want to reward the attention oligarchs that do what they say and punish the ones that don't, it's new and it's scary. And I think that in that situation, we don't win the attention war by fighting the attention war. We win the attention war by ending it.
Go read, go learn, go do X, Y, and Z, but don't just sit here and consume content and give them your attention because that's what's making them more money. You can't just consume to be angry, essentially. I'm paraphrasing. I'll share the video here. But I think that that's a very important thing to think about as well, especially just in general, especially in 2025. Like, be intentional with what you consume. Like, you are not chained to your phone. You know, you can turn off the app. You can turn off this video. You can log out of YouTube and never subscribe to me again or watch another video. You have every ability to do that. And that is your prerogative to do. You can choose who you support. You can choose who you watch and who you give attention. And I think that same thing goes with this trend where people are like, yeah, you may have been joking, but I don't like this. I don't trust you now. Like, that's the thing as well, where it was like, even if if the ban went through and the app went dark for Americans, there are other people around the world, which Canadians in particular got really, the UK in particular, you guys were very funny in my comment when I came back. I was like, is TikTok open? Like, what's going on? You were like, God damn, we didn't even get 12 hours without you. Okay. I was on your feed anyways. Sounds like you were looking for me, frankly. No. A lot of people that were admitting things that were like actively saying, I lied about the content that I made. We're big on other platforms like Instagram, like YouTube, Reels, etc. Okay. And so it was like, yeah, did you not think this was going to affect the rest of your career? Which again, people have short attention spans. Maybe it won't. Maybe this is all, some of these people, you know, it hasn't affected things whatsoever. Well, like the fitness influencers in particular, I'm like, you guys admitted to some not good things. Like, why would anyone trust to listen to you going forward? You're going to have to get into live streaming because they're going to need to see you doing these workouts moving forward. All right. For like the entire amount of reps and everything. Some people have come back and they're like, okay, let me explain this further. Like Eva did like a full multiple part videos about the relationship she was in and things like that. Other people have really explain things further. Other people were like, yeah, I lied. I wasn't doing that in my content. I wasn't doing X, Y, and Z. Like, it's Ice Girl who said that she lied, but she's like coming back after TikTok getting banned. Hello, how y'all doing? It's funny, but also it's just like so much of TikTok in general, and this is what I try and drive forward to newer creators as well. It's like, you got to think past getting views today. You got to think past like, what do you want for your content? What are you comfortable with for existing on the internet for the rest of time? I've overshared quite a lot on the internet. There are some things that I wish I hadn't shared when I was, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Who knows? It's out there. It's done. I've done that, and I am living with that. But like, I look at things differently now. There are things that I don't want to say on the internet. And there's also things where it's like, yeah, why would you just lie? Like, what's the point? That's one of the reasons that I personally like live streaming. It's like, you guys see an edited version of my personality, truly. Twitch, you hear me yap. I yap in the same way there. I feel the same way there. I engage the same way there. I'm not going to do a character, and I'm certainly not going to go and just like manufacture a whole existence on the internet. This is just like YouTube personalities that people used to have that was very common on YouTube. Literally for the entirety of someone's influencer career, like, let me just make this whole manufactured personality, which it's one thing to have a forward-facing element of your content. It's one thing to have a very polished persona that you put forward. That's one thing. I am definitely funnier to you guys because of editing. Shout out William. We cut out when I mispronounce a word. We cut out when my dyslexia acts up and I can't read. We trim things out so that I seem, more edited. But I'm still a goblin, and I make that abundantly clear that I'm a goblin. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I only eat kale chips. I love bees all the time. I do yoga 5 times a day. Like, it sounds so stupid and so ridiculous, but like the amount of just like, yeah, let me just waste. The wasting product gets me. I'm so sorry. Like, with how expensive foundation is, Meredith wasting product, I'm just like, why? What's the point? Some of these people, I'm just like, why were you so short-sighted? And like some of these people, yes, it was like TikTok was their main bread and butter. And so they were losing their income streams. And I get that that makes people desperate and frustrated and angry. And so it's like, yeah, you know what? I was lying the entire time. Okay. But in general, it's just like, we got to think past right now. Some people have come over to YouTube, but most of you guys that were following me on TikTok were already following me here, so it's not a big deal. But like my Instagram saw a little spike because of people coming over from TikTok when the ban was possibly going through. And so there's quite a lot of people that I assume were experiencing that as well, where they were, you know, experiencing spikes on other platforms. And so you knew that they were going to see that and then come over to the other platforms like, hey. And even if TikTok, let's say, had gone dark, in its entirety. Like, people remember things, and there are ways for people to find things out. One of the criticisms that I saw about, you know, TikTok going dark as it did is that that did leave a lot of people's accounts vulnerable, you know, as it was. A lot of people didn't make their accounts private, and they didn't have enough time or warning to lock their accounts or anything like that. We just straight up made it so that we couldn't really access our accounts. And so that left all the content open to the rest of the world, and also left our accounts open to the rest of the world, essentially, even though password protected and things like that. But like, let's say someone tried to hack my TikTok in that time. I really wouldn't have had a way to go and combat that in any way or shape or form in that time that the TikTok was banned. Again, people would have found these videos. They could have accessed the accounts. We'll see what ends up happening if this ban does end up going through and you know, past the 75 days, etc. Like I said, I'm treating it like it's going away, but like, what are your thoughts on this? And then also, what are your thoughts on, you know, any of these that you saw, or however anyone's replying or responding to this or anything like that? Like, some people I've seen a few people that are like just straight up acting like they didn't admit anything. And then I've seen a few people that are like, the hell y'all doing? I've seen that, which I do think is the best response, you know, like poking fun at like admitting to that, especially for some of the more minor things. Were there any that you were shocked by or upset by yourself? I would love to hear about it. And do you think that, you know, the band's going to go through? Do you think they're going to sell? Who do you think they're going to sell to? They're unlikely to sell it to Meta, I think, because of antitrust. I don't think it's going to happen, truly. But we'll see. Are you still on TikTok? Were you someone who deleted TikTok? I believe it's still removed from the App Store. So I can't fix CapCut on my phone, unfortunately. Was there anyone that you saw that did this trend? Did you do this trend? What did you think of this trend as a whole? Were there anyone where you're like, why would you admit that? Some people I straight up were like, hey, if I lied about something like this, I would just keep it quiet till I would take it to my grave. Like, again, we're bringing back secrets. We can't overshare anymore on the internet. You know, like, let's bring things back secrets in 2025, okay? Personal safety and just common sense. Let's bring that all back. That's going to be it. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Reminder that Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder, use code SWELL for 10% off on gamer subs. Shout out to my channel members who'd also join channel memberships. You can go ahead and click join down below. If you'd like to follow me on social media, that'll be all up here. And that's going to have all the day. Goodbye. The chicken one made me guffaw because I was like, I don't think I'd ever seen her videos prior to that. Like the indoor cats. I was like, what? That's not a cat. Why would I think that was a cat? Of course that's a chicken. I just assumed that like she had never shown the chickens on camera before, and she was like, oh, my cats are like, she's filming herself, and like she was like, oh, my cat's in the frame or something like that, but it was a chicken, and then like maybe like clucked or something, and people were like, it's not a cat. Like, I assumed it was something like that. No, she just straight up has always shown the chickens and was like, this is my indoor cat. That's funny.